Hey, welcome. Sorry, I'm just getting everything set up on my back end here. Hey, welcome. I'm looking forward to tonight. I haven't played Loam in a couple of weeks. So let's just kind of hop right into things. Good evening, everyone. My name's Phil Gallagher. I run Thraben University, a site exclusively for legacy death and taxes. And today I'm going to be streaming with some 4-color Loam. This is another donation deck list, and I'm looking forward to it. I've played a little bit of this deck list recently. I went on a bender with it, and for about 3 weeks, it was just about the only thing that I was playing off stream. I think it's a lot of fun. And I think the deck has a lot of tools that really let you go and leverage your skill. So, like, there are some objectively very powerful cards that just win games of Magic on their own, right? You know, Chalice of the Void being one of the big ones. But there's a lot of decision points in this deck, and you really get to use your play skill to help you get through some difficult times. It's kind of hard to just, like, talk about how hard this deck is to play. It's kind of one of those things where it's just, like, easier to see the deck in action and to see how it performs and then talk my way through those decisions. But for example, there's a lot of times where you have to decide like what you want to do with your life from the loam. You know, can you continue to stay on the mana denial plan? Do you need draws to try to advance your board? Are you just going to try to punishing fire you're out? You know, how do you keep your opponent from ever possibly getting back into the game once you have a soft lock going? There are a lot of questions like this. This deck list is extremely stock. I have not changed a single card from it. This is Connor's list, aka Loamer Boys. He originally sent me this list and a sideboard guide. Oh, I don't know, maybe a month or two at this point ago, and I've loved everything about it. The only thing that I really think is contentious is whether or not to play a 2-2 split of Abrupt Decay and Assassin's Trophy, or whether it should be a 3-1 split, 3 Abrupt Decays and 1 Assassin's Trophy. Otherwise, I don't think I'd want to change a single card in the 75. It's performed very, very well for me. Some people don't like Vraska Golgari Queen, and instead they run Garruk Relentless in that spot, and I think that's totally justifiable. Otherwise, I love everything that's here. This is a deck that is somewhat popular on Magic Online, but tends to be pretty rare in paper, probably due to a combination of it being tricky to play and the Tabernacle at Pendrell being approximately infinity dollars, give or take $7. There are some cards that I'm really excited to be playing. Assassin's Trophy is a card that really got hyped up when it was spoiled. You know, some of us suspected that it might like change the nature of Legacy itself, and it's made a small dent, but Abrupt Decay's uncounterability is still kind of making it a go-to card. There also aren't that many black-green decks floating around the format right now. The sort of like control-y decks of choice right now are Miracles and Grixis Control, rather than some sort of like 4-color deck that might want Assassin's Trophy. And I'm also really happy to be playing Queen Marchesa, who has been an all-star for me. Becoming a Monarch is fun, and I highly recommend it to everyone. Yeah, so like when I first started playing on this deck, I went on an insane tear. Like I think I 4-1'd something like 5 times in a row, and I got a 5-0, and then like I finally like got a couple of 2-3s and like a 3-2. But I went on a bender with this deck where I was just running insanely hot. I just felt like I couldn't lose to anything once I figured out what I was doing. So yeah, I totally get like this deck feeling very addictive. Um, as far as like recent accomplishments with this deck, D. Neely did very well in one of the Legacy Challenges recently. I think he ended up winning it. If he didn't win, he certainly top-8'd with it. But I think it was a win. And you see it popping up here and there. Since I've done other deck techs on this before, I don't really want to spend too much time talking about it, so I kind of just want to jump into the matches tonight. I do want to thank Sammy Oddjob for this donation. They're the one that made this this stream possible. So thank you for that, and I'm looking forward to this one. Oh, it's over here. Sorry, Magic Online just updated today and changed some stuff, so now I'm not entirely sure how some things have changed, or some of my defaults have moved. Alright. 4-color Loam. Let's battle. And my sound's off, too. Sorry, I'm trying to find something else before I get started. I just want to flash something up on screen. So folks, here's the rough schedule for the next couple of weeks. This is likely to change very slightly, but this is the gist of what's going on. There's going to be quite a bit of D&T content. We're going to have like 3 D&T streams in a row, although one of them will be on Arkin's channel on Saturday. And then we got some fun stuff later this month with Ninjas, Tess with Bryant Cook, and Angel Stompy. It's going well. My opponent was last seen playing a bug control deck with Pernicious Steed. Angel Stompy, yeah, I spent about an hour brewing up the deck list with Lord Darkview today. He donated for that. So this isn't exactly a stellar hand. It doesn't have acceleration. It doesn't particularly have a lot of interaction, but like, if my opponent's a combo deck and they're not actually playing this bug control deck, then like having a Teague's great. Otherwise, in a fair matchup, like Knight and Life from the Loam are fine cards. Plus, if I like Life from the Loam and find like a Punishing Fire and a Grove, and my opponent is on a control deck, that bodes very, very well for me. Yeah, I think the hand is below average, but I don't know that it's like bad enough to mulligan. That's kind of my feelings on it. So unless my opponent is playing something like Storm, this is just going to take my knight. All right, my opponent did take the Teague. Not sure what that is supposed to tell me. I'm going to presume combo. I wonder if my opponent has any finishes with, like... No, I don't see any finishes with, like, random combo decks, but it feels like Storm. The Marsh Flats is a little weird, but not, like, unprecedented. It's gotta be a combo deck. I guess I should get a red with one of these, because I already have all of my other mana. But it probably doesn't matter. I'm just going to take a Bayou. It's possible I should only take one of these fetches back to just, like, make my knight bigger a little bit preemptively. Alright. This is another reason why my opponent could have taken the Teague. Even if they're not combo, just, like, having a second Thoughtseize. Now, without the knight, I don't necessarily think I want a Loam. I think I'm just going to take another draw. Well, this is great later, maybe. My opponent also might just be like some sort of Esper deck with like Marsh Flats and Flooded Strand, right? Alright, well... I don't exactly know what my opponent is doing. My current suspicion says maybe something like Deadguy Ale. Well, we have a lot of mana. I'm going to sandbag this this wasteland and hope my opponent fetches a non-basic at some point that I can actually blow up. Yeah, like, that's the cool thing about Legacy, right? Like, even though there's a really, like, well-established metagame of, you know, tier, like, 1 and 2 decks, there's still a lot of stuff outside of that that's still 100% viable, though they tend to have some weaknesses. Yeah, it is feeling just like Deadguy Ale. Arkin, thank you very much for hosting. I appreciate your support. For everyone who is tuning in from Arkin's channel, hello, my name is Phil Gallagher. I run Thraben University, a site for legacy death and taxes. Today we are playing 4-color Loam. I am playing Loamer Boy, aka Connor Folse's deck list. And it looks like we're playing against Deadguy Ale. It's possible that I want to be, like, dredging towards a Punishing Fire at this point, but I don't think I necessarily want to go that route. Yeah, this is a do-nothing game. So my opponent is probably sitting on a bunch of things like Fatal Push and Swords to Plowshares and equivalent, and I just need to find a threat. One of the primary issues being that once I do find a threat, it's likely to just, like, die to the removal spells that are in their hand. So this one's going to go on for a little while. Like, I know I can fetch a Dryad Arbor and try to go that route. Yeah. The Loam doesn't feel great, though. Okay, this is business. Hey, Green Sun. That ain't bad. So I've still got a Forest in the deck. I can cast Green Sun for X equals 3, throw out a Knight, but the Knight's very likely to die. I think that's fine. Alright, my opponent was F6 there, so my Knight's not dead. They're just gonna, like, Lily minus, force me to use my Decay. Oh, that's fine. Oh, now I've got all sorts of business stuff going on. Alright, so I'll Life from the Loam, I'll get back Barrenmoor, the Maze of Ith, and Cabal Pit for utility. I'll cycle my Barrenmoor. I think I'll just take a draw. Yeah, see, like, that's fine. So, I think I'm going to let my opponent discard some cards with their Lily, because I clearly don't care about discarding them. Like, I can discard this Windswept Heath with absolutely no harm done to my hand. And then I can decay a real threat. Alright, opponent plays another Lily. They'll presumably Edict. I'll fetch a Dryad Arbor. Alright. They Swords to Plowshares my Dryad Arbor. I guess for this exact scenario I should have left my Wasteland up, but it's not that big of a deal. I don't actually care. And I think I'll just dredge and try to find a Punishing Fire to kill the Lily rather than fire off the Abrupt Decay here. Still have not succeeded. Because I could Wasteland my own Dryad Arbor to like put it back in the graveyard to protect future threats from future Lilianas. So we had Wasteland, Baron Moor. I don't really need another fetch land. I will just take a natural draw. Ah, my own Lily. That's sweet. Do I have enough black to do this? Yes, I do have enough black to do this. So I'm still not going to decay my opponent's Lily, because if they want to plus their Lily and make me discard, that's very good for me when I have life from the Loam. All right. You got my Lily. Stoneforge Mystic, sure. No, Stoneforge Mystic, not a problem with like Cabal Pit and Maze of Ith both being here. Hey, it's a Punishing Fire. This deck's neat, chat. I don't know if you know, but I get to do a lot of disgusting things. I don't actually really care about that. Like, it's annoying, sure. But I'm going to be able to out-resource that pretty easily. Yeah, and I have a second Punishing Fire. Deal. Alright, and my opponent is done with me. They've had enough here. Like, yes, they can, like, keep, like, bouncing this Batterskull, trying to equip the Batterskull to other things, but, like, with double Punishing Fire, the Germ on its own means nothing, and I have this Maze of Ith and clear control of the game. Alright, so we're playing against Deadguy Ale, which conceptually is very similar to D&T. So I'm going to look at how I board for D&T and then adjust a little bit. So against D&T, I bring in Knight of Autumn, 2 Charms, 2 Swords, Tabernacle, Liliana Last Hope, Majani, Marchesa Vraska, and I board out Teague, 2 Green Suns, 1 Mox, 4 Chalices, Skoos, and Ghost Quarter. So this is how I board for D&T. Now let's see if I want to adjust this at all. Yeah, so like since Arkin's here, just to like plug it, on Saturday I am going to be streaming with Arkin. I'm going to be a guest on his channel. So that's going to happen at around 2 p.m. Eastern time. I'm really looking forward to it. Okay, but on to my own sideboarding here. So, are any of these cards not going to be good? Golgari Charm can be good against things like Bob and other small creatures I see on the other side of the battlefield, as well as Lingering Souls, so I think that's fine. My opponent didn't show me very many creatures, but presumably they've got to be there, so like Swords is fine. And the Planeswalkers seem good against the grindy aspect. Of all the stuff that I'm boarding out, the only thing that maybe is questionable to be boarding out is like perhaps the Green Suns, just in case like discard rips across my hand, having more virtual copies of Night seems fine. But I think I can win the game with this stuff pretty easily. Yeah, Harry, I'm with you. Like, Lingering Souls is definitely something I would expect to see out of Deadguy Ale. And it's really annoying to like try to beat through that with something like a Punishing Fire. So I'm going to keep this. I have some very strong early plays. I need more land with this hand, but that's fine. Like, Bob is a great must-answer turn 2 play. I have multiple different removal spells for if my opponent has an early threat. Pithing Needle. Alright, that is a high level of respect right there for Wasteland. Egget, thank you very much for subscribing, or I should say, continue to subscribe. That's 10 months now. That's basically forever. Thank you very much. It means a lot to me. I'm really looking forward to playing some more of your crazy deck lists in the future. And I do mean that as a compliment. You've tried out a bunch of sweet tech. No, I don't think I necessarily need something like Eternal Witness. Alright. My Bob goes down. Now that I have this Life from the Loam, the opposing Liliana is not tricky, and my opponent's Pithing Needle doing work on them rather than me. So this is a turn where I could just like jam the Knight, let them take my Life from the Loam, and then like dredge my Life from the Loam to have a giant Knight, or I could just like deal with the Liliana right now with something like Punishing Fire. Or I could just play my own Lily and really stick it to him. Like, if I play my own Lily, my Lily ultimates first, which is huge. And I do kind of just want to play my own Lily. So I'm going to get Badlands here. I don't think Surgical Extraction is a good card against 4-color Loam. So I'm not going to be overly wary of Surgical. Like, if my opponent brings it in, like, so be it. My hand is stellar here. It's a little tricky what to discard. I think I'm going to discard the Grove. So I can get back 3 lands here. I can just play a Knight of the Reliquary here. The Knight's not stellar in the face of Lily, though, so I want to save this for a turn or two. Kind of like the idea of loaming, Punishing Fire a Lily out, plus my own Lily, and rip that last card out of their hand. So I guess, technically, before I remove this Lily, I should just plus... Opponent discards Swords to Plowshares. And I'll knock out their Lily. It's possible that I should have just, like, nugged a Spirit token and let them plus their Lily again. Getting a Stoneforge Mystic for which piece of equipment? Sword of Fire, nice. So the thing about that line, though, is that now I'm just going to, like, plus the Lily and get rid of their sword. So their Stoneforge didn't actually give them a lot of value. If they had a Jitte, I would have just gotten that. Ooh, there's a Tranquil Thicket and a Barren Moor. I am so in business. So now I can Loam, getting back 2 Cycling Lands and a Verdant Catacombs. I can play a Verdant Catacombs. And I suppose return a Punishing Fire now. Yeah, so I suppose I want to fetch. Just get another land. Go and return a Punishing Fire. That one can stay there. Click no to that. Pass the turn. And then force my opponent to send all 5 of these creatures at Lily. Afterwards, I'll go and Punishing Fire one of them out. Nice. Nice. So that'll tie up my opponent's entire turn. So I can go play Tabernacle, play my own Knight, and have 2 mana up for Assassin's Trophy if need be. Yeah, their Pithing Needle on Wasteland was very good for me this match. That does literally nothing against me, right? Like, since my green suns are boarded out. Deal. Nice. So, I probably just want a second Grove. And just, like, take care of these spirits, then win the game with a Johnny. I can also just, like, whack my opponent first 6. But I think I'm the control deck right now. Note, I'm not playing optimally here. I'm just kind of like doing things. I've got this one locked up, and I'm minding my clock because I'm much, much lower than my opponent. If I somehow lose this, I do need to have enough time left for the next game. D. Lewis, I'm not sure if on my end my last comment came through here, but I definitely am not playing optimally right now. I am doing stuff. I'm just trying not to like time out here. Opponent is fighting the good fight, yes. Yeah, so like playing more optimally there and like using more time. Like I definitely should have like mazed my knight again. You know, there's plenty of other things I could do. Assuming I had more time on the clock, I'd also just like Assassin's Trophy this Pithing Needle and start going to town on my opponent's remaining lands. So sorry about the lack of interaction with the chat at the tail end of that. But game one went on forever because like neither one of us had a win condition. So my clock was lower than it should have been. Yeah, I have multiple 5-0s with Loam. I think I have 2 this season. I think it's 2 with Loam, 1 with DNT, and then 1 5-0 with one other random donation deck. Not 100% sure. So kind of more generally, when Loam is winning, like when you're at the point where the game is over, you can do actions a lot of times in a random order and still just come out so far ahead because you just have like so many resources. Like with like Loam and Punishing Fire and then like sometimes a Planeswalker or a Knight going, like you can mess up a little bit and it's forgiving. It's the early turns of the game where you often just lose by making a mistake, especially with fetching lands. Fetching lands with this deck is really hard. Ah! Yes, the other 5-0 was with Negator. With the awesome Bug Depths deck. So my opponent plays like Stoneblade and Miracles. This is an awkward hand. So I have Punishing Fire Grove. I have a Chalice on 2. I can't cast this Bob. But Bob's great. Reluctant Keep. The mana is not good for this hand. But if it's Miracles, then like Punishing Fire Grove is just like a hell of a way to just take out a game 1. I have never been impressed with Nahiri in the sideboard of D&T. But conceptually, I can understand how it might be good. Do I want to Dryad Arbor to get to 3 mana next turn for any reason? No. But I do think I am okay with casting a Green Sun for Dryad Arbor here, just to see if my opponent will like use a card and remove it with a Swords to Plowshares. That's something that could like help protect a Bob later if my initial Chalices don't work. So I'm going to try to cast a Chalice here. Spell Pierce. Maybe not Miracles. So if my opponent plays a Back to Basics, then I want to fetch a Forest with this Verdant. Yeah, Pierce is like reasonable in Miracles, but like given that my opponent also has a bunch of finishes with Stoneblade, I would lean towards my opponent being a Stoneblade deck right now. Alright, so let's try the Chalice again. The Chalice works. And now I have to decide whether or not I want to like play a Bob this turn, or whether or not I want to kind of play around back to basics. And I'm going to ram the Bob out there. And then Loamer Boy in chat is going to yell at me for doing it. And that's okay. But I have an Abrupt Decay in hand to answer it back to basics if it hits, and all I would have to do is find 2 lands. And I think that's an okay position to be in when I have a Bob that probably isn't going to die. Supreme Verdict. Neat. Stoneblade is indeed the answer. Alright, so my opponent has Batterskull in hand. Let's take out that Stoneforge. It's dead. Alright, so now I have Punishing Fire combo active. I can Abrupt Decay this Jitte if need be. Fuck. Fuck. That's bad. I'm gonna need a Liliana of the Veil to beat that. So now the Jitte becomes a problem card. So I'll go ahead and answer that because it's great with True Name. And then I'll return the Punishing Fire. Come on, Lily. That is not stellar here. So I'm going to explain why I'm doing what I'm doing. If my opponent doesn't have another land, then this keeps them from equipping that monster. Alright, opponent is playing Spell Snare, that's good to know about. And I'm just going to return this now to get my F6 value. Yeah, so another reason why I did like the end of turn destroy the Germ token is so that if I do finally top deck this Lily, I actually can like play it and have it matter. Because if I just like leave the Germ on the battlefield, then like it's just Awkward Town USA. Don't really need to hold that for a Mox Diamond. But I probably just will anyway. Keep my opponent guessing about what's going on this side of the battlefield. Alright. Well, that's 7 damage, so no more fetching for Phil. If I had more red, this would be kind of cool. So my opponent gains life, so I could just, like, return the Punishing Fire in that way. Cabal Pit, not going to do it here. And we died to True Name Nemesis, which is a huge problem card for this deck. Yeah, so we chaliced, but it didn't really matter that game, right? Like, we still died anyway. And that happens sometimes. You get a lot of free ones off Chalice, but not all of them. Alright, so I'm probably going to want Knight of Autumn, Lily Last Hope, Ajani Vraska, Marchesa. All of that's kind of a package. You tend to bring them in the same spots. Golgari Charms will answer True Name Nemesis. And Tabernacle could be a way to, like, theoretically get rid of a True Name Nemesis, but the problem is that they have so many basic lands that probably isn't happening. So I'm going to board out my Green Suns. I'm going to trim my Knights. Get rid of Teague. It doesn't really particularly do a ton here. Same for Scavenging Ooze and my Maze of F. I get with the pro tips here. I could have tapped Cabal Pit in order to kill myself, since I was at 1. So if you look at the cards on the right here, like Lily Last Hope, Vraska, Ajani, Marchesa, a lot of times these are the threats that you're winning the game with in post-board games against, like, slower non-combo decks. So a lot of times when you bring all of these in, you get rid of Green Suns. This hand does not do things, so we're going to ship it. This hand is also very bad. I'm going to have mana trouble. Like, I can't cast any spells currently other than just Punishing Fire, and this Tranquil Thicket has to just be played tapped. That being said, if I get a black land and I can deploy Bob, that's fine. And sticking this card and starting the Monarch game is fine as well. I'm going to keep this. Worst comes to worst, I can also... that needs to go to the bottom. So if I miss a land, how bad is that? Like, I could just, like, play Tranquil Thicket tapped, or I could try to save that and, like, just cycle it right now to try to find another, like, actual black land for Bob. That might be better. I've still got my Loams in my deck, so I really don't want to play this if I can avoid it. I'm going to play this. And I'm not going to cycle it until my opponent's turn. I don't think they're going to be playing anything like, you know, Stifle or anything like that in a Stoneblade shell. Stellar. Even more stellar. This is what I want to see. My opponent does have, like, Spell Snares and, like, Swords of Plowshares, so there's lots of ways that, like, these Bobs can be answered. But if they don't, oh, buddy. Oh, buddy. So here my opponent's probably going to attempt, like, Ambush Viper with a Snapcaster Mage. Containment Priest. Sorry, friend. I think there is a very real argument for just, like, trading the Bob for Containment Priest and trying to resolve Chalice there. But my opponent, like, already... Ooh, neat. So I think a lot of people, like, haven't played against Loam, so they don't actually know how this deck sideboards. And accordingly, we see a lot of, like, situations like this where my opponent is clearly bringing in suboptimal cards to try to fight what I'm doing. So just because they have no 1-drops now doesn't mean they're going to have no 1-drops for the rest of the game, right? Like, if I just, like, play a Chalice that turn, and it resolves, I'm going to shut off a ton of future value. Back to basics. Alright, annoying, but I have an Assassin's Trophy in hand to deal with that as soon as I get another land. Actually, it is just strictly correct to attack with this first, in case my opponent has something that can remove the Bob with mana. Yeah, Bob confirmed best friend. Another one of those. It's alright, I've got a Mox Diamond and a Bob. Bob only gets 1 card a turn. Grizzlebrand, though. 7. 14 even sometimes. And you can go deeper if you're friends with Children of Corliss. Eh? So, unless my opponent has something like a Supreme Verdict, I wouldn't get super punished by playing out a second Bob, but it would just deny me a mana source. And I kind of like just having a Bayou floating around for when I get an Abrupt Decay or an Assassin's Trophy. So I think I'm going to just play Bayou and pass. Strong read, Phil. Strong read. Now I'll slam another Bob. Scariest thing would probably be something like a Jace. Stoneforge Mystic, getting a Jitte, probably casting a Jitte. Will they go so deep as to equip a Jitte as well? No. Caracas. And Mox Diamond. Hello! I've revealed some very large converted mana costs with Bobs before. I've played Tin Fins with Bobs and Mentors in the sideboard. Does my opponent have like a Snapcaster here? A second Containment Priest. Those probably shouldn't be in your deck, friend, but who am I to judge? So with any land, I can like Lily minus and take out the board, or play a big knight. How many lands are down here? 1, 2, 3. So unfortunately, the second Stoneforge there means that like my edict isn't clean. I can just play a large knight. So 1, 2, 3. So I can play a 5/5 knight, which will live through. I can then use that to cast another spell next turn. I can also just like block with knight and then try to draw a land for Lily. So playing knight probably just gives me the best number of outs to board. Not 100% what I'll do with the knight yet, but playing it is probably just correct. My Maze of Ith is in the sideboard of note, so that's not something that I can fetch up. Hey Romario, welcome. We're playing some good fair magic here. I think I'm just going to let this attack go. I think, like, using knight to fetch away, like, say, bad lands to get, like, fetch into forest will turn the knights into 7/7s. Abrupt Decay would be decent. I would be sufficiently happy with drawing an Abrupt Decay, yes. Oh, opponent just opting to go aggro rather than keep Jitte counters around, which I find interesting. Alright, Badlands, maybe not Badlands. Maybe we'll sack a Bayou instead. I swear I know how my cards work. My read on my opponent, since they didn't equip anything, like re-equip, I guess is either that they have Force of Will or another piece of equipment. So what's my best line this turn? I'm going to want to, like, fetch Forest. And I can just, like, play another knight. And then just have the potential of blocking with Gargantuan Knights. And then follow up with Lily afterwards. Now, my opponent's at 9, and effectively has 2 more life beyond that. I don't want to be attacking. Like, my life total is the life total that matters here. So I can make my knights very large. I can knight away a land, search for a fetch land, put 2 more into the graveyard. That turns them into 8/8s. My goal here is to take a couple of bodies off the table and then use the remaining 2 cards in my hand to try to take over this game. So my opponent can turn this into an 8/8. I can force them to use some Jitte counters if I want. No, the maze is in the sideboard right now, unfortunately. Otherwise, everything's easy. I can't fetch Dryad Arbor right now due to Containment Priest. I guess I could get Cabal Pit and use Cabal Pit to destroy one of the creatures, and then Edict. That's actually pretty good. But maybe I don't have enough time for that. I can also just get like a Grove so that I can return a Punishing Fire and kill a creature when they go for Equip. Okay. No, I guess since I use both counters, I'm forced to grow it. So never mind. Why would I need to double block? Alright, Abrupt Decay. I'm in business. So I have a scrubland left in deck that I can fetch for black. I guess my question is, like, what do I want to do with this decay? I can go Lily minus, and they'd probably just, like, sack the Containment Priest. Then I could Abrupt Decay the Stoneforge when they go to, like, return the Batterskull, or otherwise just get rid of it with Decay. Just kill both creatures and go aggro. It's not crazy. But then, like, what do I do about that Batter Skull that's just going to come back down? I think I want to play Lily and minus them, then decay back to basics. And use Punishing Fire to pick off the remaining creatures. I mean, I don't... Like, if my opponent's next card off the top of their deck is Surgical, like, so be it, right? I mean, I don't think Surgical is a particularly good card against this deck. I've said that a few times. Then again, like, Containment Priest isn't either, so here we are. Well, I'm feeling pretty good about life. Tenacious Bread, thank you very much for following. I appreciate your support. Neat. So now Punishing Fire the Stoneforge. If opponent returns their Batter Skull, I just plus Lily, and it's just womp womp time. All right, opponent doing an old trick that, you know, definitely allows you to get the Batter Skull into play. So good on them for doing that. Not going to tick up my Lily and discard an awesome card like this one. I thought I was going to have some fetchables left, but I don't. So let's get that last card out of my opponent's hand. And now I can just kind of like play patiently. Yeah, if I lose, I'm going to lose by timeout. Or I guess I don't have enough mana to do that, so let's just return some. Actually, for clock, this isn't worth doing. Loam is indeed quite grindy. The opponent can replay a Batter Skull. I'll Punishing Fire the Germ twice, and that's that. I don't want to go through the clicks of Punishing Fire when I'm this low on clock if I can just whack my opponent for like 17. Right, that's my opponent's goal there. Spotty Rhyme, thank you very much for following. I appreciate your support. If I'm low on clock, I might want to consider just like putting another beater into the deck. Like I could see dropping a life from the Loam and playing another knight here. My opponent has so many basics that the Loams have utility in recurring things like Cabal Pit and Tranquil Thicket, so I don't want to like cut them completely. But that might not be where I want to be right now. I really like this deck. I usually don't take this long to like do plays when I'm on my own, but like in thinking through them and talking, it uses a lot of brain power. So usually I fly through leagues when I'm playing this deck by myself. Oh, this is bad. I think I'm going to ship this. Like, my mana is so terrible with this. Alright. I have a Loam and a library. Deal. I'm going to start by getting Bayou and Forest, and I'm going to jam the library. If they have a Spell Snare, like, so be it, but this card resolving is sweet. Oh, we got a Force out of the deal. And a Supreme Verdict. Stellar. Note, I'm just F6ing through my opponent's turn, so if they do something random like Pithing Needle my Verdant Catacombs, I accept that. Alright. Senior Jace the Mind Sculptor. I have a Punishing Fire, so if I, like, dredge a Loam, or Grove of the Burn Willows, I'm not actually scared of that. But that is a big if. So about like, you get used to it, but like when you play decks that you're not like playing all the time on stream, sometimes you slow down quite a bit. Thank you, chat. That is a great line. Dryad Arbor for the attack, and then kill Jace with Punishing Fire. Surgical my life from the Loam. Deal. So, like, my opponent gets my life from the Loams. Cool. But what does that accomplish this game? Wasteland Recursion isn't doing much. Cabal Pit Recursion isn't doing anything. This is kind of like why I've never felt that Surgical was particularly strong against Loam. Like, even if you Surgical something, it just isn't that big of a deal at the end of the day. I mean, we can't have it all. It's a shame I didn't have a little more mana to hold Golgari Charm up for that. Council's Judgment is a little rough there. Back to Basics is one of the most crippling cards against me at this stage, though, and I have an answer to that, so I'm not in the worst of shape. I just need to top deck a threat in the next few turns. Yeah, I don't really have time to, like, really think through my turns here. Alright, opponent gets Batter Skull. I'm going to wait to Cabal Pit until my turn if I find that that's something that I need to do. Yeah, 100% want to take that off the table and strand the Batter Skull in hand. We've even got an answer to like an annoying True Name Nemesis. Or Back to Basics, whatever. I don't super have time for a Punishing Fire kill. No, I'm respecting my clock by killing it now. Force pitching Back to Basics. I'm just going to keep this Punishing Fire in my hand in case I can do something else with it. Oh, that's a sweet draw. So my opponent should get a Jitte here. Yep. He'll cast a Jitte, sure. I'll Punishing Fire that out. Opponent is reading my card. Unless my opponent's last card is like exactly a 2-mana flash creature, I don't need to destroy this Jitte now. My Dryad Arbor's in my graveyard, unfortunately, so my Vraska emblem not looking the hottest here. Venser, sure. What would you like to do with that? Bounce that. Okay. So my opponent is going to be able to just, like, Karakas this back. That's not the end of the world. So my opponent... Nope, never mind. I thought my opponent was going to, like, Venser their own Jitte back to their hand. Alright, Disenchant for Chalice. Sure. Another Stoneforge. Probably doesn't have another piece of equipment, though. Yep. Yeah, like, I'm going to time out this game unless I draw a creature. Alright, I'm just going to time out here. I'm going to go ahead and concede rather than like play out the next turn or so. But as far as like winning that game goes, you know, in infinite time, I've definitely got that one. So what does my hand actually do? I guess we just like play knight into knight, hope that my opponent is a creature-based deck where I can Punishing Fire. Like having knight plus wasteland plus maze is kind of cute, but this is like kind of a medium hand. All right, are you a Stifle deck? Nope. Or at least you don't have one currently. Alright, so we're probably playing against Show and Tell. Not great for the home team here. Alright, please just put in a fatty, not Omniscience. Shit. Alright, second Omniscience. Oh my god, I'm not dead. Holy crap. I am not dead. Okay. So I need to kill my opponent as quickly as possible. I can double fetch, sack another land with knight, get another fetch land, fetch, and play this other knight. And I think that is the game plan. Otherwise, it's like play Bob and like pray to hit a Chalice so that I can shut off cantrips. But I think I'm going to go like full-on aggro here. Alright, so I'll get something that can produce white. Let's say Savannah here. Get like a Bayou. Float green. Sack this. Get another fetch. Fetch. Get Bayou again. Alright, that's all a little bit unfortunate. But it's okay. So now I have a very big boy knight, and we just need to, like, dodge. We just need to, like, try to fade something sweet. Brainstorm is scary. Grizzlebrand, not scary at this point. It's just Emrakul. Emrakul is the thing we need to fade. We have not faded Emrakul. We have failed. This is a very, very bad matchup, by the way. You can have the uglier of the Emrakuls. So, like, Grizzlebrand can draw a bunch of cards, but, like, I'm saying we can beat a Grizzlebrand, right? Like, I just tutor up Caracas, and it's not that big of a deal. But I can't beat Emrakul. It's my opponent finding Emrakul that wins the game. This is not a matchup that I expect to win, by the way. We don't have a lot of game here. So my Thalias are going to come in, my Charms are going to go in, they can blow up Omniscience, and maybe Sneak Attack as well. I'll bring in Swords to Plowshares, though it's not necessarily great, and I'll bring in Marchesa. I will be boarding out my Loams and my Punishing Fires, as well as the Scavenging Ooze, really just like going away at my 2 drops that don't do a lot here. This is not a grindy matchup. And I will probably board out my Maze. When I'm on the play, I'll board out a Decay. When I'm on the draw, instead I'll board out Library. Oh, hold on, I messed up somewhere. Knight of Autumn. Obviously very good. Yeah, so if you put in Knight of Autumn off Show and Tell, it can stop both Sneak Attack and Omniscience. Ugh. On 6, I'd be super happy with this, but I'm on the play. I'd really like to try to find a hand that I think has a Chalice. I just think this is too reactive, and I feel like I'm going to die. I don't think this does anything. I sob openly and keep this 5-card hand with Sylvan Library, because Sylvan Library is sweet. I'm going to assume that I'll find white mana later. I'm going to bottom this land. I will play Bayou and pass with the intention of cycling Tranquil Thicket. Put that on the bottom. There's another one. Joy. I'm going to hold off on using my fetch land here because I don't know what I'm going to need to do with it. I might need a second black for Lily, or I might need white for Knight of the Reliquary. That is good commentary on this matchup. We're really hitting on the key points. Rebus8, or maybe Rebus8. Thank you very much for your support. I appreciate it. Thank you for throwing your Twitch Prime money this way this month. So, I don't need to take 8. I'm more or less okay with just, fetching one of these away, but I am fine with, taking both Caracas and Swords. And Rebus, thank you very much for the follow as well. I'll go ahead and put that on top. Pay 4 life for that. I'm going to go ahead and just play Verdant Catacombs this turn and pass the turn. My opponent has, Soul Land, Double Petal, Sneak Attack, Emrakul. It's a line that punishes me, but I think that's fine. I'll probably fetch Scrubland with Verdant Catacombs, as it will give me both white and double black. Do I want to take 8 here? I don't really think so. I don't love this Dryad Arbor. I'll just, maybe float that on top of the deck. I can play Mox Diamond, discard my Wasteland, play Caracas, play Chalice. destroy my swords to plowshares that are my interaction. Pray that my opponent counters the chalice so I can still interact with baddies beyond Caracas. This is so awkward. So I can't kill my opponent yet. Hopefully I've at least annoyed them. If they just, like, blow up the chalice with an abrade or something, then, like, I have these sorts of plowshares that can muck with a Grizzlebrand or Arcane Artisan. So there's that. What does our Cunning Wish get? Probably not something that can... Cunning Wish gets Intuition. So opponent actually might be somewhat close-ish to just being able to go, like, Show and Tell, Omniscience, Intuition, Emrakul, 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 give me the middle finger. Alright, what's going on, opponent? I'm not dead yet, so maybe opponent doesn't have the Omniscience. So all this stuff, not stellar. The Wasteland on the volcanic island probably doesn't matter. I think I'm more apt to just, like, shuffle both of these cards away. This is probably not a game my opponent wins via sneak attack. It's probably a game that they win via Omniscience. Sewell Courtney, thank you very much for subscribing. I appreciate you showing your support to me. And thank you for throwing your Twitch Prime money this way this month. So it's my guess that this Intuition gets Omni, 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 and I die. And I think if I just, like, play Wasteland this turn, then I'm going to be looking at, like, Verdant Catacombs, Dryad Arbor off the top. Alright, it's Emrakul they needed. And I don't think this volcanic island matters. Like, otherwise I just, like, take 8 in order to keep, like, those bad cards in hand, and I can't use them to draw better cards later. Assuming there is a later. Alright, sneak attack super beatable right now. So now I guess I don't have to fetch. Now I can keep the waste and try to keep them off of activating this. Which I don't love, but I think it's what's happening. Yuck. So if I were to guess, I would say that my opponent's hand is full of largely cantrips right now and perhaps some counterspells. I'm going to go ahead and get a regular forest here. in case my opponent moons. Otherwise, like, my mana is fine. Wasteland, not really what I'm looking for. Golgari Charm is fine. Assassin's Trophy are fine. Put back that Wasteland. I will keep both of these. And let's deal with this right now. We'll keep the Assassin's Trophy, because if my opponent just, like, show and tells in some fatty, this can answer it as well, if Caracas, for some reason, would not. My opponent was considering countering there, and then opted not to. I'm not sure exactly what that says. This is rough. This is really rough. I don't think I'm willing to pay any more life to try to power through this, and I'm going to keep this Wasteland for a red source, although I perhaps even shouldn't have shown it. Hey! A win condition. Also notably, like, just a way to shuffle. Although I really do... Oh, did not just get forced. Stellar. Amaze is in my sideboard. So this is just like, try to crack my opponent 3 times. Opponent discarding a useless cantrip. Gaddock, a fine draw there. So now I have lethal next turn. Next turn, I can, like, Wasteland myself. A Cunning Wish. That's fine. I can Wasteland myself, and then, like, with Gaddock and Knight put together, I have lethal. Alright, so my opponent finds a force. Force, pitch, Cunning Wish. Alright, so how much mana is Omni? Is it 10? It's 10. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I guess I should just Wasteland my opponent here to, like, actually prevent hard cast Omni. All right. And we got there. That's great. But I have to do that again. That's less great. So when I'm on the draw, a lot of times I cut the Sylvan Library just because, like, it's really slow on the draw, and play Abrupt Decay in case my opponent just goes and rams an Arcane Artisan out there, and to have an additional answer to something like Blood Moon. Because you saw how good, like, Back to Basics was against us. Blood Moon's not quite as powerful because I can still just, like, cast stuff, and a lot of times my Mox Diamond and Forest can give me plenty of colored mana, but it's still an annoyance. Alright, I have a turn 1 Chalice. That means this hand is a keep. Note I don't really have a lot else going on. This is the game plan. If the Chalice doesn't resolve, I'm in trouble, but it could still just accelerate us towards something relevant. Alright, on the off chance that my opponent is playing Blood Moon, I am going to go ahead and fetch a basic. Or, not that I don't think they're not playing Blood Moon, that they actually have the Blood Moon, I should say. Alright, Chalice just resolves. Alright, will I just die here, despite having my best turn 1 play? Let's find out. I'm going to put in Verdant Catacombs. Alright, it is just Grizzlebrand. So I'm going to go ahead and fetch my other Bayou out here. And cycle this. We're going to try to find Caracas or Knight of the Reliquary. It's not either of those cards. Alright, we found Knight of the Reliquary. I assume this won't resolve, though, because my opponent will just draw like 14 with Grizzlebrand and find a Force of Will. Vraska's for a lot of the mid-rangey and control matchups. So against things like Grixis Control, Miracles, D&T, the Mirror, those sorts of things. Not your unfair decks. Unplayable there. Yeah, I suppose if I'm going to cycle first, like, there is some merit in just, like, trying to find the natural Caracas as the top card of my deck. It's probably moot. Like, in all of those cards, my opponent probably, like, finds another show and tell. Just kill me. Just end it. Alright, somehow not dead. I mean, not dead this turn. So there's some slim chance I'm not dead. Beseiju is expensive anti-Chalice of the Void tech. Ugh. So I'd actually kind of just like to draw a black source so that I can go Lily minus kill the Grizzlebrand and Golgari Charm the sneak attack. Alright, so opponent got rid of 2 Emrakuls, so they probably have an Emrakul left in hand. That just makes sense. Okay, so if they have an Emrakul left in hand, then to not die, I need to destroy this. Again, opponent probably has a force, and then I whack the concede button. This would be the best spot for a Punishing Fire. I wish I knew how to turn my chat on again after this most recent Moto update, so I could say something in chat. And like, man, Punishing Fire would be sweet. Yeah, I mean, we couldn't punish the whiff, though. Play Thalia, concede is also a line. If we had one more mana, but it wasn't black, so that we had triple black, we could have like played Thalia to play around Force of Will. Yeah, I timed out versus Stoneblade in match 2. I had things, I won't say locked up, but I had like Punishing Fire combo in Vraska versus my opponent's Venser Caracas. So I definitely think I was very favored to win. Alright. I do not know what my opponent is playing, so we'll just try to keep a reasonable hand. This hand's okay. It'll let me make a turn 2 Knight of the Reliquary. Good enough for me. I was about to say, and I'm really just hoping that my opponent isn't playing an unfair deck with this hand. But they beat me to it. So, I don't want to play my Green Sun on 1, I guess. I can play it on 2 for a Dryad Arbor and then not get anything countered. I'm going to lead on Verdant Catacombs with the intention of getting Savannah to cycle Tranquil Thicket and also give myself the white for Knight of the Reliquary. I don't need to focus on black because I already have double black covered for Lily. Oh man, our format points live now? Is that like... Yeah, that was with the Moto update today. Alright. I guess I have to remember to, like, care about Magic. It's game time. There is some merit to just, like, conceding right here. I'm not gonna do it. But I would not blame someone for just trying to hide what deck you were on. So I have Caracas that I can draw towards if my opponent Animate Deads. I have things like Abrupt Decay that can answer it. My opponent can also just, like, draw too many cards and I can, like, Punishing Fire their Dome or something stupid. I'm a dog to win, but I'm not on 0 outs. I am currently 1-2, Arkin. Opponent going ham. Alright, Animate Dead on a Chancellor. That now means my first, like, spell I'm going to play has the original Chancellor tax plus this. Well, that's something that can clear the original Chancellor trigger. All right. 100% not dead here. So I'm going to get this countered. Play Cabal Pit. I can Abrupt Decay that. I don't need to pay the tax for that, obviously, because this can't be countered. So we are in this game. So Oinkster, the reason why I played the Chalice was because I wanted to clear that tax for future purposes. If my opponent just has another discard spell, I don't want to lose the Chalice and then have to pay additional mana for it, right? So, for example, if I top deck a Assassin's Trophy next turn and my opponent discard spells me this turn, I'd be in terrible shape. Oh, buddy. Oh, buddy. Man, if my opponent, like, thought seizes me or something, they are dead. I'm going to assume I was on delay there. Oh, yeah, okay, yeah, sure. If I lead on the decay, that does just, like, clear it as well. You're right, you're right. Come on, Punishing Fire. All right. All right. I'm doing it, chat. I'm doing it. I'd be so happy if I get this one. Like, I have Knight for Maze available for big fatties. All right, I get another Knight. Tidespout Tyrant is rough. Now opponent can just cast a bunch of BS and time walk me. That is disgusting. Like, bounce both of them, Cabal Therapy them both away. I was so close to stealing this one back. But if my opponent had just, like, put a Grizzlebrand into play, I had it, right? Because, like, I use one Knight to go and get Caracas, bounce Grizzlebrand. I use the other Knight to just, like, get a Maze. So I think I'm on no outs at this point. I can't, like, get rid of double creatures with one card, and I'm dead to either creature, so I'm just going to go ahead and concede here and save a few seconds. I presumed that my opponent was going to bounce my remaining lands, right? So they just go and, like, flashback Cabal Therapy, like, send another land back, and I think I'm just dead. All right, so I want ley lines. I want Thalia. I want swords. I want Knight of Autumn. I don't want to go like so deep as to like play Golgari Charm. And I'm going to board out my slow stuff, kind of like we did against Sneak and Show. So Punishing Fire and the Life from the Loams at 2, go out. Teague doesn't really do anything, despite being a hate bear. Library's too slow. And then I'll either trim a Cabal Pit or an Abrupt Decay. I think I'll trim the Pit. The Abrupt Decay can still hit Animate Dead. I have Leyline of the Void. I will keep this hand. I'll be discarding my Maze of Ith to my Mox Diamond here. And then playing Thalia on turn 1. So that's a very, very strong sequence. Generally speaking, the first land I tend to get with this deck is Bayou. Is this a good hand? No, I don't think so. I've only used 5 of my cards on turn 1. We want to use all 7. Get the bingo. Alright, they can unmask me and take one of these 2 cards. I can't cast either right now. I probably would have taken Knight of the Reliquary if I were the opponent. I can't actually cast Liliana of the Veil this turn due to my own Thalia, but I can cast Knight if I draw a land, which is exactly what happened. So I'm going to let my opponent have a land for 1 turn, and then I'll Wasteland them. Just like playing the Knight and putting on this pressure, and like being able to blow up 2 lands in 1 turn just seems nuts to me. Yeah, I don't know how many turns it would take me in order to like go and get another land. So I'd much rather just like slam the Knight, get that pressure on, than Wasteland my opponent and crash in for like 7 or something like that. Okay. So the only question is like, do I want to try to mulligan to a ley line? This hand's very good. I don't think I can pitch this hand. If my opponent thought seizes me, though, this hand becomes super awkward if they know to take my Mox Diamond. But I don't think I can ship it to mull to a ley line. That's a 3 of. Dolly Sperado 12, or however I pronounce that. Thank you very much for following. I appreciate your support. Yeah, like, the only way you get a hand better than this is to mulligan to ley line, which I don't think I want to do. Alright, so they unmask me. Yeah, I mean, so obviously against a Reanimator deck, Leyline's insane, right? But you can't just mull to Leyline every single time reliably. Like, if you're willing to go down to, like, 3 cards or something like that, like, maybe you can do that. But this hand is insane. Like, I have 3 very relevant cards for the matchup in, like, Lily, Chalice, Thalia, as well as a Mox Diamond to start things off. I don't want to pitch this. Alright, opponent takes Chalice. Unless my opponent has a follow-up discard spell, I don't really think that's correct. Like, Mox Diamond allows me to Thalia or Chalice or Lily ahead of curve. Alright. So I'm going to Mox Diamond. And I think I'm actually going to discard my land that enters tapped. Since I'm going to play this Thalia, I'm going to be pretty far off from casting Lily. So I think I want to go, like, Barrenmoor and Grove this turn, cast Thalia, then Wasteland and cast Night next turn. If I draw, like, a 2-drop that I can cast, I might just Wasteland my opponent. And I will probably, like, 100% just Wasteland my opponent if they miss a land drop. What is that? Is that just... Oh, that's a weird art Badlands. We'll blow up... Oh, I see. It's that Badlands, and they're just... they overlap strangely. Yeah, I think my opponent threw this one away by not taking Mox Diamond. Like, if they took Mox Diamond, I get to, like, play Barrenmoor tapped last turn, play Bob this turn. And now I'm just going to, like, run away with this game. But we take those, right? And my opponent's done. Alright, maybe we wouldn't have won that one versus a better player. But here we are. We get the redemption round. Alright, we are playing against Edward Ned. I do not have any data on this player. So I will keep this hand. We've got a Chalice of the Void, we've got a Bob as 2 very strong opening plays. We have the Life from the Loam Wasteland engine as well. I do play Force of Will decks. I play a little bit of everything, honestly. Recently, it's been, I play whatever makes it into the donation queue. This one is courtesy of Sammy Oddjob, who I'm not sure if they are watching this stream. So I don't know which sort of deck my opponent is yet. Like, I don't know if they're combo, I don't know if they're control. I think I'm going to play Chalice as sort of my my bait spell here. If the chalice resolves, great, it protects Bob. If the chalice doesn't resolve, maybe the Bob will. Really hoping this isn't Sneak and Show again. Alright, we are probably playing against Miracles. So back to basics is a little bit annoying, but I do have the Abrupt Decay handy to go ahead and handle that. So hopefully my Chalice of the Void buys me enough time to find a green source. I mean, that'll do. It's awkward, but it'll do. So I can Ghost Quarter my own Wasteland, get my basic forest, and then tap that and Cabal Pit to destroy back to basics. I'll do that on my opponent's turn, though. Alright, so I think in order to take my opponent off of hard cast Force of Will, I'm going to go ahead and Wasteland my opponent's Tundra here. And then I'll play a Bob. Force of Will pitching Brainstorm, so that Wasteland play looking pretty hot. Opponent starting to miss some land drops. Great for me. So I think I'm going to use a Loam as a bait spell this turn. And then resolve a Bob. I'm going to play out a Ghost Quarter here. I may get to the point where I try to like Ghost Quarter away all of my opponent's basics. That's not plan A here. It's not even like plan B or C. But it's something that may occur. Ambush Viper. Alright, your Ambush Viper happens. I have another Bob, so it's not that big of a deal. So for anyone confused about that most recent chat comment, currently my students are going and building Roman houses, or other Roman housing, I should say, as a project that's kind of like gone off and on for the past week or so. A lot of them are building it in Minecraft, which is super cool, and they're really into it. So I don't have triple black this turn. So I can't like play Lily and Bob. So I think I just want to try to resolve the Lily. So I expect my opponent to fetch and accumulated knowledge, draw a card, and try to find another Force of Will for the Lily. He did not find another Force of Will, so we're just going to send this Liliana up and up and up and up until my opponent gets tired of playing Magic. STRGRV, thank you very much for your continued support. How do you plan to cast Thalia when you have no white sources on board? Great question. Got a secret for you. I might not be casting Thalia this game. I'm going to tell you why I'm not going to cast Thalia this game. She's hanging out over there. She's in the sideboard of this deck. Which, by the way, since I haven't mentioned it tonight, if you do want to see the deck list at any time, you can hover over the cards on the left-hand side of the screen, and that Cardboard Live extension has my entire deck list. I've actually got some updates from Wilson Hunter, the guy who runs it, so I'm gonna kind of tell you what they've got planned. They've got some cool stuff coming after this match. All right, so we are playing against Miracles, which is a relatively favorable matchup, though it can be tough. So I'll kind of board in the same package that I've been doing of these 3 additional threats, the Golgari Charms to answer back to basics because that card's super, super annoying, the Marchesa, which I already grabbed, and the 2 Thalias. Also the Lily Last Hope, and the Knight of Autumn, so 9 cards. I'm going to board out my Knight of the Reliquaries. Yes, I know, it's like one of the best Game 1 threats of this deck, but a lot of times you're relying on alternative ways to win in the post-sideboard games. So I'm going to cut those. If I cut those, it means I want to cut my Green Suns. Maze of Ith, not the best in a matchup like this one. Then I'll trim a Wasteland. Similarly, my opponent has a lot of basics. That's not going to do some work. And I'll cut a Life from the Loam to round things out. Cheesehead, thank you very much for the bits. All 37 of them, individually done in a nice little pattern. Alright, well, I don't have mana. We're going to ship this one. Ugh. So I have mana, but I can't cast any spells with this. And if this Dryad Arbor gets removed with the Swords of Plowshares, I'm so beyond dead. I'm gonna ship this one back. This is the best hand so far, by a lot. I will bottom that. So I'm going to lead on Forest into Mox Diamond and Chalice in hopes of protecting the Bob. Or I guess I'll play that, cast the Mox Diamond, see if it resolves, then fetch Forest. Force pitching back to basics. Alright, that's one less of those I'll need to worry about this game. So that's great. So now we slam a Bob and hope that that lives, because this is our way out of our mulligan into oblivion. Otherwise, life's hard. Life confirmed hard. Bob's farming. Womp womp. Alright. That at least is going to help me make land drops. Yeah, hard mode confirmed. We don't need no easy life over here. We'll grind this one out somehow. So I could try to, just loam into Punishing Fire and Grove, but I don't think that's amazing. This, on the other hand, is spicy. Alright, so I'll get a Bayou with 1. And then I need something that makes either white or red. I guess scrubland's okay. White, green, black, red. Nope. White, black, red, green. Go. Come on. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Opponent didn't even, like, have the bad manners Snapcaster Mage to punish me. So now I'm the Monarch. I'm going to have double removal spell available, and my opponent's missing land drops. And I am the pretty princess. Life is grand. Let's cycle this Baron more. See if we can get into something better than what I have. Grove is a fine draw. This was a mold at 5. It sure does not feel like it now. So Cheesehead, if you want to add that again, just don't do the dash fill at the end. So now I'm going to play Verdant Catacombs as it can become a Dryad Arbor to block a random Snapcaster Mage or something of that nature. Liliana, an awesome draw there. See, here's the thing about that Terminus. It's going to take this Marchesa off the board, but I'm still the pretty princess. I'll probably dredge my Loam this turn. Get back some lands, just so I can have more more filler for Liliana of the Veil. There's also a world where I just like fetch Dryad Arbor end of turn and start attacking my opponent. So I could go 3 mana for Liliana of the Veil, 1 mana Dryad Arbor attack, 2 mana hold up a removal spell, and play 1 more land. So maybe I don't Loam this turn. Neat. Get on in there, little buddy. Good job. So I'll play a Chalice on 1. Yeah, that's fine. Actually, so I guess to be optimal, I should just tap this. My opponent discards a Snapcaster Mage. That's awesome, as that's one of the things that could have let them become the Monarch. I'm going to go ahead and pop out these graveyards. They're probably going to be relevant this game. Yeah, so I've got an Assassin's Trophy for that, or I can just Loam into a Punishing Fire. So I will start my turn by dredging life from the Loam and see where we get with that before using Assassin's Trophy on Jace. Ah, he sent that to the graveyard. It's a shame. All right, so we'll get back Barrymore, Verdant, Wasteland. Plus with Lily, just get another card out of there. I'll discard a Grove. Opponent gets rid of a Back to Basics. Let's try to Assassin's Trophy Jace. All right, and it just works. And it works and my opponent does not get a land. I don't need a Loam again, I'll just take a new card. This is why being the pretty princess is great. Monastery Mentor, okay. Alright, so I'll cycle Baron more. I'll use this opportunity to dredge life from the Loam, try to find a Punishing Fire. I do not. So I'll just take a draw for turn. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and minus Lily and try to get rid of their Mentor. If they cast a spell in response, they'll make a 1/1 idiot, and I can Golgari Charm in order to kill that idiot. So in order for this to not work, they would need to have 2 1-mana spells. So they'd need like double Brainstorm or something like that. Disenchant on that. Okay, so now let's Shrinky Dink the creatures. Kill the Prowess card. Now my Lily on a minus will kill the Mentor, although my opponent takes out the Chalice. So I'll play a Verdant. I'll play out a Bob. I'll life from the Loam back, a Grove, a Barrymore, and a random fetch. I didn't need to give my opponent a life there, but I want to be able to fetch Dryad Arbor and just like put more pressure on my opponent. Golgari Graveboy, in D&T, the cards that tend to be good to splash for are creatures, so that Aether Vial adds mana in order to cast them. Because like putting those creatures into play can be very, very difficult. All right. Marchesa really pulling her weight there and taking over that game. So I'll say a few things about this list, but first I want to talk about some Cardboard Live stuff real quick. So Cardboard Live is one of my sponsors, so this is kind of a plug from them. So it's on the screen. It's what lets you see my deck list. So I asked Wilson Hunter if there's anything that he wanted me to kind of pass on to my chat. So two things. Number one, by the end of the week, Cardboard Live will be available as what we call a component extension on Twitch. So if you're interested in Arena at all, you can use both Cardboard Live and the Arena Deckmaster extension together. Cardboard Live is going to be working with them so that their stuff will mesh instead of them having to compete for viewers and users and whatnot. Number two, they're making significant progress towards making card sales work through Cardboard Live. So if you see something you like on stream, you can actually buy cards and give these streamers a commission while you buy cards. Cardboard Live is currently working with some major retailers in order to make that a reality. Again, no real details for who, what, where, when yet, but it's happening. And number three, in the next few days, there will also be a crowdfunding campaign on a platform called Republic. So if you really think Cardboard Live is going to be the future of Magic, then you can own some equity in Cardboard Live for as low as $10. All right. And shameless plug for someone who supports me. And really, I reached out to Cardboard Live initially, so I really do think they're awesome. And as a side shout out, thank you to Card Hoarder for letting me borrow the sweet cards for this deck and making my donation deck list a reality. All right, so let's get back to the deck list here. So one of the things I talked about at the beginning of the stream was that Abrupt Decay and Assassin Trophy split numbers are not necessarily stock in this, and there's a real tension between wanting 3 Decays to be uncounterable versus Miracles, and wanting some Assassin's Trophies to be good more generally against threats like Jace. I still think I like the 2-2 split, although I think a lot of people have moved on to 3-1, with Decays being more prevalent over Trophy. Looking at some of the foreign GP results, we saw a lot of things like large Chalice space decks, things like Red Prison, Eldrazi Post coming up, and I think they're having the flexibility of Assassin's Trophy is pretty important. As we saw this game too, just being able to answer a Jace was huge, and if that had been an Abrupt Decay, I might not have been able to win that game. So I still think I'm comfortable with the 2-2 split. Other than that, I don't really think anything in the main deck's debatable. It's just very solid. In the sideboard, Vraska's been kind of medium for me. I'm not overly hot on this card. I would consider playing Garruk Relentless over it. There's some times, though, that Vraska is just disgusting, where you plus it the first turn on a kind of an empty board, and then you go --/ and get double decay out of it. But there's been a lot of times, in that matchup against Spencer, where I'm just not generating a lot of value with it. So I would consider playing Garruk Relentless over Vraska. But otherwise, as the league showed tonight, I think we use every single card in our sideboard. And it's a great place to be if you're only going to go and play in a couple events with a deck like this. You want your sideboard cards to be well used. You want them to be able to come in a variety of matchups rather than being super, super narrow. And most of the time I felt like my in-out numbers worked pretty well, and I didn't really need to struggle to try to figure out what I was going to do for each one of those matchups. All right, so I am currently the only Legacy streamer on. So I'm going to go and find someone else to host before I go here. While I'm kind of going and looking at that, I do want to go and find, I do just want to say, on Saturday, I will not be streaming. I will be a guest on Arkin's channel. That is spelled ARK4N11. ARK4N11. I will be going and playing D&T on his channel and kind of walking him through a league and being a guest on his stream. So if you're into D&T, I'll be playing it this weekend. Then on Monday, I will be doing a debrief of SCGCon. I'll be talking about the deck list that I chose to play and how my events went. My Monday stream will be at 7 p.m. Eastern Time as of right now. There's some weird weather coming to Roanoke that may affect SCGCon and school next week. So I will keep you all posted via like Twitter, Facebook, and Discord if I'm going to change anything. If I have Monday off, I may end up streaming Monday early, but I kind of like the idea of keeping my normal stream time just because like this is going to be something that a lot of people are going to want to listen to. I haven't done a lot of D&T content recently, just to kind of mix things up. And next week is going to be like 3 D&T things in a row. Like there's D&T Saturday on Arkin's channel, there's a D&T debrief Monday, and then on Wednesday, I've got a really cool donation deck list. So someone posted in the D&T Facebook group about a Red Splash build that included Goblin Crater Maker. And I actually think that's a super cool idea. So I'm really looking forward to trying that. All right. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to host someone who has like 4 viewers. So I'm going to pick a modern player who just has a really small stream right now and try to make their day. So I'm going to turn you over to First Worst, and I don't know what they're playing. We're just going to let that happen. So good night, folks, and if you enjoyed my content, please follow, subscribe, donate, or do something else to support my content. There's a lot of great legacy producers of content out there, and if you want to keep their content coming, do something to support them. Even something simple as some kind words here and there can really mean a lot. Cheers!